as well as great contingencies. It's all right there at Dunlop. In Leatt Braces, they inspire confidence. Jonathan in the house with us this weekend. And don't forget our good friends Al Pacino and the folks over at Wiseco Performance Products here with us. All balls, bearings, and components. We salute those great friends. Our friends at Hot Cams, unleash the power within. Thanks as well to Hot Rods and along with Cylinder Works and Hot Cams, those three all brand new sponsors here in the 2015 season with tire blocks, a new flat-proof inflation system. Distributed by Loud Performance Products right there in Vendors Row, and thanks to PG Graphics, Powersport Graphics, and RidePG.com. I want to say thanks to Midstate Chevrolet, the home of your next new car, truck, or van, and they stack them deep, they sell them cheap down there. Well, folks, as we get set to roll into today's racing action, a couple things to remind you, of course, is as you make your way here to the starting line, it's a it is a dead engine start. And when that blue flag is given, all engines must shut down. Now, once the start sequence is underway, this blue flag will not only signal a dead engine call, but it is also 30 seconds for the start of the race. Watch the official starter, Rick Towery, and when he puts his left arm straight out, that will signal 10 seconds for the start. At this point, all mechanics must step behind the teams and drivers. And the green flag will be thrown anywhere between 8 to 12 seconds. Here, let me make sure I'm getting the right riders meeting. I've got a separate one for the UTVs. So here we go now. Again, okay, let's start this all over. Now, when you arrived at the starting line, you should have lined up on your assigned row. There are pre-assigned rows here on the starting line. There are signs at either end of each row designating the row assignments. You must line up on your assigned row. You must line up on the line and not past it. Now, registration, you were given class stickers to place on the back of your helmet. Each class has its own color. Once you're lined up with your class, note the color of your class sticker. Those are the teams racing in your class. Those are the teams you want to pass. GNCC is a dead engine start. When the blue flag is given, all engines must shut down. Watch the official starter, Rick Towery, up near turn 1. When he puts his left arm straight out, that signals 10 seconds for the start. The green flag signaling the start of the race will be thrown anywhere between 2 to 5 seconds following the 10-second call. Do not start your engine before the green flag is thrown. Now, this procedure will be followed for each row. Rows will start approximately 30 seconds apart unless the officials indicate otherwise. Scoring. Transponder scoring is the official scoring system of GNCC Racing, and when you arrive at the scoring zone at the finish area, you must stop. The official will tell you when to go. You may have to wipe your helmet first if it is muddy, but wait until he releases you to go. Now, the finish of the race is at the finish line, not at the scoring zone, so do not race into the scoring zone. The area between the finish line and the scoring zone is a no passing zone. Teams that crash or otherwise race into the scoring zone may be disqualified. Scores will be posted approximately 20 minutes after the last teams check in. Check your score, and if you have a question, go to the scoring trailer, and the officials will go over your times with you. Awards will be given 1 per 3 teams in each class, and we guarantee the top 5 awards per class. An awards presentation, a lot of that will be taking place there at the podium, if not at rider registration. Now, checkpoints. There may be some checkpoints on the course in addition to the main scoring zone. These checkpoints will be marked with caution signs and double arrows. You do not have to stop at checkpoints, but you cannot pass or race through the checkpoints. These are no passing zones, and you must proceed through with caution. The track. Once your row has started, you will follow the arrows into the woods. The course is marked for the UTV class with black on white, so you'll be following the black arrows. The marked course is within the 25 feet of these race arrows. The exception of the 25-foot rule is if you encounter double arrows, fencing, signs, staked areas, hay bales, motocross tracks, or grass track sections. You must stay within the confines of those markings. In addition, you may not cut to the inside of a white pole corner marker. Exit signal danger, so please use caution in these areas as they are difficult sections of the track, and a W indicates wrong way. You've either gotten off course or you're headed off course. Turn around and return to the track where you left it. You must stay on the marked course. Now, if you encounter a bottleneck, you may go more than 25 feet off the course in order to get around the bottleneck only. However, you must re-enter the course as soon as possible, and upon approaching this section, the next lap, you must take the original course if the track is clear. If you have to leave the course for any reason, you must re-enter where you left. If you cut, we do not stop you. We simply take your number down and penalize you. It's no excuse that you were following another team. You are responsible to follow the course. If you encounter a lap team, give them notice that you're behind them. Have patience and give the team time to safely get out of the way. If you are a lap team, be courteous and move over. And if you hear a team not in your class come up fast behind you, or in the case of an XC1 or XC2, blow their horn, be courteous and let them by. Now, the course is marked with mile markers to let you know where you are. And if you encounter a team with an injured competitor, you don't have to sacrifice your race, but note the mile marker where you are. Tell the first official you see where the injured competitor is, and we will get help on the way. Now, once the checker flag is thrown, our sweep crew will check the course to make sure all teams and machines are retrieved. Pit crews, if you're missing a team, please notify the finish line referee. And now, ladies and gentlemen, with a description of our course. For the description of our course, Mr. Barry Hawk.
Wow, we got Rodney at a loss for words here. Good afternoon, everyone. We've got a 5.2-mile track laid out for you. Take off the start here. You're actually going to cross the road. When you cross the road, you're going to make a right. I have an option line there. The very bottom line, when you turn to the right, that is by far the fastest line. I arrowed it up the hill. It goes up the hill and it makes a right and it ties back in. It is not faster to go that way. I just have that in case they get bottlenecked up there on the first right. So once you get through there, you can go past the 2-mile marker, about the 2.5, you're going to go past a checkpoint. As soon as you go past that checkpoint, it's probably going to be the tightest part of the track. It's only a couple hundred yards long. Once you get through that section, you're going to come out on the big long, we call it our tow road. You get on that big long tow road, run all the way out towards the John Penton section. Once you get to the end of that field, you're going to drop down a really steep downhill. You get down that downhill, you're going to cross over a dried up creek, and then you're going to go up a really long uphill on the other side. You get up that uphill, you can go past checkpoint 2. When you go past checkpoint 2, soon as you pass checkpoint 2, you need to be on the brakes. There's a hard 90-degree left-hand turn. It's probably going to be a little bit dusty there, so be paying attention. Checkpoint 2 is going to be on your right. You're going to make a left. From there, you're going to run along the backside of trackside pitting towards the 9-mile marker. Go past the 9-mile marker, you're going to get on the moto track. Run from the moto track into the finish, get scored. Leave scoring, and then get back on the moto track, and then run up behind the pro pits, and then cross the hill here in front of you. Then you will cross the road and get back on this side of the track. Run here behind you on the start over to the mulch pile on your left. That mulch pile is really, really, really rough, so take your time in there. From there, you loop around that mulch pile and run all the way around the back side of the property and come back up and cross the road to complete your lap. So again, you've got just over a 5-mile track. Really not much mud out there. A couple uphills, a couple downhills, but nothing too bad for you guys. Hopefully everybody has fun out there. The biggest thing is make sure you're paying attention out on that moto track. The jumps, don't go flying off a jump on the other side when you're not sure what's on the other side. So take your time out there, especially on the first lap. Everybody, good luck, be safe, have fun, and remember, follow those arrows.
Well, thanks a lot, Barry Hawk. Couple of quick announcements for you. One being those of you folks over at in the main area looking to sign up for tomorrow. The rider registration has no line at sign up. Digital Dave at Race Day Picks wanted me to pass along how great the new posters are looking over there and how great they're selling. Be sure and stop over to Race Day Picks and check out all today's great racing photos. And folks, let me remind you, safety first. GNCC Racing, like all motorsports, can be dangerous. Racers, now that you've had an opportunity to inspect the course, have heard the race procedures and a description of the course. If you feel that either you or your machine is not prepared, then now's the time for you to withdraw for a complete refund of your entry fee. No questions asked. Race fans, due to the nature of GNCC Racing, there is no fence barrier around the course. It is your responsibility to keep yourself and your children a safe distance from the course. Never turn your back on oncoming machines, and remember, stay off the racetrack. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to ask a blessing on today's race, Mr. Ricky Towery.
Hey, let's go, Lord, and have a word of prayer together this afternoon. Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for getting us all here safely. Lord, we already had a lot of fun today. Had a lot of good racing, come down to the final race of the day. We just ask you to watch over these riders. You'll keep them safe as they go out here. Lord, let us finish up on a good note. Lord, we just thank you for the blessing that you give us each and every day. Sometimes we just don't slow down long enough to tell you thank you. We stay in such a big hurry each and every day. Watch over our military men and women, Lord, each and every day, fighting for this country so we can have such a wonderful place to live. We thank you for this landowner for letting us use this beautiful piece of property. Lord, we just ask you'll take us all home safely when this is over with so we can get back together again one day. And we thank you for your son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please remain standing, stand at attention, remove those caps, and cross those hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the playing of our national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we were so gallantly streaming, and the rugged red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
We're down here with our Polaris Ace Race winner today, Sam.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome along the World Wide Web here at RacerTV.com and to all you racers and race fans here at the 26th running of the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. It is round number 8 of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the 2015 and 41st running of the AMSOIL GNCC Series presented by Maxxis, an AMA National Championship. Today we come to the point in our program where it's time for our UTVs, the side-by-side racing action here in the soils of Ohio as we enjoy nearly 60 competitors getting set to tackle the hills of southeastern Ohio. On row number 1, we've got a total of 31 riders getting set to tackle these hills, and they are including your national and defending champion from Pataskala, Ohio, Kyle Cheney with his passenger Chris Bithell, riding in the number 1 car. Riding in the number 3 car, a former national champion out of Tompkinsville, Kentucky, John Yoakley and his teammate Jared McClure. Riding aboard the number 4 car out of Massillon, Ohio, with his teammate Angel Knox, will be driver Tim Farr. Former national champion, this guy was the number 5 out of Tompkinsville, Kentucky, with his passenger, his co-pilot, his wife Tina Yoakley, William Yoakley. In the number 6 car out of Marietta, Ohio, his co-pilot Braden Henthorn, the driver Larry Hendershot. Riding in the number 7 car out of Jefferson, Pennsylvania, with the co-pilot of Danny Padillion and your driver Mouse Pratt. Driving in the number 9 car out of Carmichael's, Pennsylvania, Donnie Novak as your passenger, and Marcus Pratt will be your driver. The 15 out of Bluff City, Tennessee, will be co-piloted by Ryan Collins with Devin Steedley at the wheel. The number 24 from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, co-pilot Joe Marsh with Luke Paul at the wheel. The 32 out of Morgantown, West Virginia, Mike Isaacson in the passenger seat, Bill Patterson driving. The 35 out of Rogers, Ohio, Tyler Wilson with the passenger seat, Justin Ludick in that driver's seat. The rest of our teams include the number 40 out of Washington, PA, Charlie Rogers in the driver's seat. The 49 of New Waterford, Ohio's Clint Zinter. The number 60 out of Fairmont, West Virginia, Paul Greenwood. The number 70 from Kingsport, Tennessee, Jamie McCoy. The 88 from Rochester, New York, Richard Curley. The 115 from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, John Kletz. The 222 from Hopewell, Ohio, will be Cole Secoy. In the 401 out of Balsam Lake, Wisconsin, Jordy Reed. Other drivers include Stephen Matko, Ryan Springer, Travis Pointer, Frank Orlander, William Temple, Scott Kiger, Don Schreiber, Craig Greenwood, Jacob Smith, Craig Bland, and Zachary Zakowski, along with John Barnes. Our first row starting out, the number 1 car with Cheney, Hendershot, Pointer, Mouse Pratt, and Clance. And your early leader going to be the number 1 car of Kyle Cheney, your defending champion here in the 2015 season. Overturning in that first turn, the 6th car. That's Larry Hendershot out of Marietta, Ohio. Braden Henthorne, fresh off the racetrack of the XC1 Pro Class and on the T-shirt this weekend. In that passenger seat as we go to row number 2, we got Matco, Marcus Pratt, Patterson, also John Yoakley, and Tim Farr ready to roll into turn number 1. It's the Big Country Power Sports car getting the jump off the line. That's the number 3 car. That is John Yoakley. The co-pilot, Jared McClure, in the passenger seat there as they take the hard left-hand turn. It is Tim Farr back in the number 2 position of that in the number 3 row. We got the 995 of Barnes. The 919. We got carnage in turn 3 now as row number 4 has already taken off. We got Kiger, Yoakley, William Yoakley, that is, Lukic, McCoy, and Olander. And we got a couple of cars down in that first turn, and the rocks are flying here in the second turn. As we move down to our next row 5, the number 60 car of Greenwood, the 401 of Reed, 222 Sequoia, the 913 car is Smith, the 541 of Springer. Row number 5 getting set to roll next as they upright the machines that were on their sides and on their tops. And Ricky Towery readies our next row of racers as we get set to roll into more history here at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC as the green flag waves once more. Row number 5 off and rolling. It is the number 5 car with a great jump off the line. That is former champion William Yoakley in that car, one of the pioneers of this great sport of UTV racing in the all-black coastal drilling machine. Down to row 6, our final XC1 Pro Class, the 15 of Steedley, the 49 Zinter, 990 Zakowski, the 24 of Paul, and Rogers in the 40 cars. The green flag waves on this one. It's the 541 car of Springer. That's Ryan Springer out of St. Francis, Minnesota. I thought he was on the other row, but evidently they adjusted rows out there as we get set to roll next with our Pro Sport drivers. We got Kreselich, Plavi, Swift, Jenkins, and Bogdan off and rolling. It's the 990 of Zach Zakowski. We're off a row someplace, so that's row 6 now taking off into the woods. And Zakowski, who's fresh off a podium from the 4x4 Pro Class, nearly grabbing the early lead, but nearly overturning at the same time. He keeps it on all 4 and falls into the number 2 spot behind the 15 car of Steedley now. Now I believe we're down to the Pro Sport class. Let's see if they got this all set up right. The 555 car of Plave in that Wickett-built machine is grabbing the early lead in this one. David Plave out of Rural Valley, Pennsylvania, driving this car. Then we've got Powers, Brockway, Henry, Mitchell, and Vanderhoof ready to roll off of row number 8, the second row of our Pro Sport class. And looks like good jump for the number 8 car, but at the same time, we got some pretty stiff competition here. Oh, mercy. And I'm not sure if that was Mitchell or not that got the lead in this one, but here we go with our next row. Mike Penland. Also, we got Berkey, Doug Gus, Digger Doug Gus in the house with us. Riggs and Held. And unfortunate break there for the 8 car, the coastal drilling car there, as he's going to pull off to the side of the track right there. And here comes some of the biggest names in our sport, in the sport of ATV racing over the course of years anyway. Digger Doug Gust, a former ATV motocross champion, but it's the 33 of Mike Penland, the pioneer of UTV racing, the great Mike Penland getting the early lead off of this row. So we go to the XC3 lights class now. We got McConaughey, Evetts, Wilkinson, Harvey, and Franz ready to roll next. And it's the 393 car of Garrett Harvey from Painville, Massachusetts, grabbing the early lead. These guys about to witness the fact that we got some action there in the second turn. A little rubbing and grinding going on there. The 39 car trying to make things happen. McConaughey. As next we go to the amateur modifieds. Yes, the 69 car in this one. We got Wolf, Trantham, Ross, Barnes, and Maudlin. And that 69 car is Chris Wolf out of Moatsville, West Virginia. Amanda Lance, the co-pilot in that car. Amateur modifieds rolling now their second row with Nether, Jensen, Collins, Moret, and Dennison. And rounding the first turn now as we watch. It's the 420 car of Moret. That's Chad Moret out of Cumming, Iowa. Kirk Cornelius, his co-pilot there. And the final row for the amateur mods will be McDaniel, Skidmore, Barnes, and Clary. Amateur Limited coming up after this as green flag waves yet again. It's the 333 car. That's old Skidmore, Josh Skidmore from Fairmont, West Virginia, with Marcia Berner as the co-pilot. You can see her excited about the way things are unfolding there with the early lead in this. Next, we go down to the amateur limited class. Rich Travelina. Also, we got Brent Kennedy. 402 car out there is Aaron Davis. We got Vicky Fowler. And looks like the 101 car of Mike Himes. And it is going to be the 22 car of Rich Travelina out of Perryopolis, Pennsylvania. The Marlboro Man, as we call him, Todd Muscala, is the passenger in Rich Travelina's cars. They motor their way into the woods now, and your final row out there, the amateur limited, row 15. We got the 144 of Austin Seelig out of Buckeye Lake, the 341 car, Matt Ferris out of Tennessee. The 351 car is Jonathan Baker. He's out of Thompson Station, Tennessee, in the 546 car of Wheaton Racing. Rich Wheaton and the boys out of Trenton, Ohio, making things happen out here. And early on, it's going to be the 144 car of Austin Seelig out of Buckeye Lake. His co-pilot there, Michelle Bowersmith. And that's your amateur limited. And that is the start for this UTV race as the fans make their way now into the woods to try and catch some of the action firsthand and up close and personally. And we're going to take a break here on RacerTV.com and be back with more GNCC Live right after this.
Racer, Ranger, Sportsman, Ace. If you live for the outdoors, there's a Polaris to match your passion. Confident, comfortable, capable. That's Ace. With a solo cockpit, automotive controls, independent suspension, all-wheel drive, and up to 45 horses of fuel-injected power. Calling it revolutionary would be an understatement. Polaris, the world leader in off-road innovation.
Getting out in front on the racetrack or on the trail requires every performance edge you can get. AMSOIL Synthetic Dirt Bike Oil is formulated to maximize horsepower. Its synthetic base oils reduce energy loss to friction, meaning your engine works less to deliver more power to the ground, helping you get out front and stay out front. AMSOIL Synthetic Dirt Bike Oil. Out front performance.
GNCC Live is brought to you in part by Polaris Ace, a whole new off-road experience. And by AMSOIL, first in synthetics. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. And by Maxxis, find your flow.
Welcome back to Racer TV's John Penton 2015 GNCC coverage, UTV edition. I'm Megawatt Matt Watson. I'm joined by our expert analyst, Pastor Chuck LeMasters. Pastor Chuck, what's exactly happening out there on the track right now, my man?
Well, I'll tell you what, these guys just took off from the start, and they've probably made about 3 miles into the course right now, and are just now starting to come back around, and you can see them live on the screen, but this is over by the mulch pile, and the first thing that we see as they pop out of the woods, it's dust. It is dusty. Talking to the riders on the starting line before this race started, they said this is going to be a tough day because there's going to be a lot of dust.
I tell you, Chuck, and you mentioned that, it's the most dust we've seen all day. We've made it through the most of the day relatively dust-free for the smaller quads and that type of thing, but it just seems like all of a sudden the sun came out and so did the dust.
Absolutely. That's exactly what happened, and of course these cars weigh about as much as 3 4-wheelers put together, or maybe more. And talking with Zach Sikowski, who raced this morning in the 4x4 class, which is a heavy 4-wheeler, he said these things kick up just twice as much dust. It'll be so thick that no matter how bright the taillights, I'm not going to be able to see the car in front of me.
Yeah, well, the good news for Sikowski, if he falls over, he can put one arm out and push himself back over as big as that guy is.
He's a big boy.
UTV, so yeah,
he's a tough guy.
He talked about laying underneath his quad this morning, and I said, well, the good news is you could just military press it off of you.
Yeah, and he trains, he works out. He probably really could.
Hey, Chuck, I know that you've got a lot of experience in the UTV world for sure. Have you had a chance to look at the course? I mean, how is this course laid out for a UTV?
Well, UTV racing has evolved since 2008 when GNCC first started doing UTV races. It used to be that we tried to be as true to the woods form as we could be. Lots of tight trails, and 50% of the track, or 50% of the competitors were getting towed out of the track. The technology has evolved. These cars are a lot wider, a lot faster nowadays, so that it requires a faster track. And so we're seeing a lot more open spaces where these cars can really get out and let her eat, as we say. And so the speeds have increased. Also, the reliability's increased. The tracks are certainly faster. But Barry was given the track description a little bit ago and said that there's about a 200-yard section of tight woods. So some skill comes in, and you've got to get through those tight sections with your steering intact. And once you get out to the fields, let her rip.
I could agree with that. Now, I want to ask you something, Chuck. In our conditions today, we just mentioned we've just got a bit of dust here as the last race. Now, is the difference the guy who's going to be able to push fear aside and put the pedal to the floor through the dust, ride blind and ride on faith, much like the bike and the quad guys do?
Yes and no. Because when you push fear aside, a lot can happen in a UTV. Smart driving comes into play even more so in UTVs than it does in 4-wheelers and bikes. And having experienced seat time in all three, I can say that with confidence. That in a dusty situation, when you pop out in a field section in a UTV, you can hit one rock and ruin your entire day. Of course, that's going to happen in anything, but it just seems that these 1,400-pound machines, when they come head-on with a rock, a stump, a tree, it'll end the day of the machine right there. So
right
you
on.
have to drive smart.
Are we correct in saying, I mean, to me, it looks like it's really up to a driver today. So many of these cars and so many of these UTVs look very similar as far as power and handling and that kind of thing. And with the way the track is laid out, pretty wide with just a little bit of technical stuff, really going to be a driver's course today?
Absolutely. That's a very correct analysis that these guys, there's no substitute for seat time and smart driving, so the driver is really going to be a key today. All of these cars can go 70 miles an hour. And there's not a place on the track that you're going to open it up anywhere faster than that. I'm not even sure if we have a section where you can get up to 70. But so all these cars are fast. They're very competitive, and the driver is definitely going to have to be accustomed to these speeds and to the task at hand. So his co-driver is going to be pointing some lines and trying to give some tips, but it really is going to come down to the driver and his correct analysis of the situation on hand.
Man, oh man, you answered my next question. I was going to ask you, when it comes to, Kyle Chaney, John Yoakley, Mouse Pratt, who happen to be running 1, 2, 3, on a day like today, man, how important is that co-driver?
On a day like this, it's very important to have somebody in the car that knows what they're talking about. A lot of these guys have intercom systems in their helmets where they can communicate with each other, not with their pit crew. That would be against the rules,
Right.
but they can communicate with each other, and the cars are so loud that you can't shout and be heard. So a lot of the top teams that you just mentioned, Chaney, Yoakley, Pratt, all these guys, they have intercom systems, and the co-driver will be saying, I see tail lights in front, you're going to make a right-hand turn up here, I see a line open over there. Barry Hawk was talking about several different lines, selections that you'll be able to make on the hill climb, and a lot of times a good navigator is going to be an advantage. And several of these guys, I know that Adam McGill is in a car right
Yep.
now, Chris Bithel's in a car right
Yep.
now, Jared McClure's in a car right now. So we've got a lot of pro ATV guys riding shotgun, giving tips to their drivers right now, and I guarantee that's a clear advantage.
Yeah, you read my mind again. I was going to mention some of our ATV guys actually ride either the Ace or in the UTV classes as well. And man, oh man, having that firsthand knowledge and experience on the track already has to be just priceless in race conditions.
Absolutely. It's when I was racing, I was able to take an ATV racer with me, and actually it was Jessie Strawham who's racing the Ace these days, and unfortunately had a bad accident a few months ago, and she's paralyzed. And due to Racer Tech stepping up and saying, hey, we want to get you back out there racing. She's now racing an Ace, but she rode with me one time and had ridden earlier in the women's pro class in the ATVs, and it was fun because she could tell me there's a good line up here, and you'd see her pointing her finger and say, okay, I know I'm going to look over there, and oh, hey, sure enough, that's a great idea. You've got a good eye. So these pro riders, part of being the pro level on ATVs is their eyes work differently than our eyes.
You better believe that. And let me tell you something. You know, you always hear the old saying, extra set of eyes and this and that. Man, it couldn't be more true than in UTV racing. And when we reach into some of the deeper parts, the 45-minute mark or so, where lappers and traffic are really coming into play, man, I have to think that having that co-pilot's just invaluable.
Oh, and the rules this year are that the XC1 guys are allowed to carry a horn in their passenger seat. So the passenger's in charge of that air horn,
Right.
blowing the horn, saying, hey, you're getting lapped, get out of the way. That's truly the passenger's responsibility, is to get those lappers out of the way by whatever means necessary, yelling, honking the horn. And I guess that's about your only option. We certainly don't want to be running cars into each other, although that does tend to happen.
Tell us a little bit about these guys up front. Now, we know Kyle Chaney, John Yoakley, Mouse Pratt. We know these guys.
Well, it looks like Kyle Chaney's on screen right now if you're watching RacingTV.com, and he's coming through. It appears that he's about to finish up. He's closing in on the end of his first lap, still clearly in the lead. And the beautiful part about the shot right now is that there's no dust. And so we're out on the motocross track where the water truck has had an opportunity. And it looks like we've got a battle raging behind it. But Kyle Chaney is coming out to be the clear commander of this race early on. He's certainly driving smooth. He's driving fast, and has a clear advantage over his competitors right now. Getting the yellow flag from Ricky Towery saying, keep on going, keep the hammer down, drive smart, drive safe. But look at that. Clear air behind him. And coming in second place.
A perfect
to be
example.
the number 7, still Mouse Pratt. Mouse Pratt is holding in there in second place. And it's just fun to watch these guys as they check in. Their cars are obviously holding together, and we've already seen right here in front of the TV tower, we've seen a couple of cars getting towed off the track already. But with the camera focused on Mouse Pratt, he's driving good. This is probably the best race he's put together so far this year. And if he can maintain this and just keep Kyle Chaney in sight, he's going to have a great day.
Well, Chaney's proven the value of a start, no question about it. The old saying, it's easier to do from the front. You got to be in it to win it, and that type of thing. Well, Chaney's absolutely demonstrating that theory right now.
Yes, he is. And the camera, we missed it, but Larry Hendershot did check in the third place position, and Larry Hendershot has been Mr. Consistent this season. He had a rough first race 4 rounds ago now, with a 7th place, and that's the worst he's done. He's got a 3rd place, a 2nd place. He's running in 3rd place right now, and it's that kind of consistency that's going to put him in the hunt for this championship this year.
Let me tell you something. You and I have seen it before. You and I have seen championships won without winning a race.
Yes.
In multiple classes, in multiple series.
In multiple disciplines.
A bunch of seconds, third, and fourths win a championship, you know, because that guy with 4 wins got 2 DNFs along the way.
Right.
Or something, you know.
That is more prone to happen in this racing right here with UTVs, because these things, they do break, and it is so critical for the driver to drive in such a way that the machine stays together. In order to finish first you have to finish, is the old race adage, and it applies so true to UTVs today.
No question about it. Well, I'm going to give my seat up to Rodney Tomlin here in just a second. Oh, I'm sorry, Rodney. I'm going to give my seat up to Rodney Tomlin, make sure that we've got our podium ready. We're just about 22 minutes or so into this one, and we're going to leave Chuck hanging by himself for just a second right here, and then Rodney's going to jump in here in just a few minutes. I'm going to make my way over to the podium. So, Chuck, good talking to you, and I'm sure that we'll see you this evening for Dodgeball.
Megawatt, appreciate you stopping in. Thanks for the good questions there.
Anytime, buddy.
All right, folks. Well, right now, looking on screen here and in front of the TV trailer, we're taking a good view of the mulch pit, and this mulch pit is famous at the John Penton round, where there's just a great big giant pile of mulch that we ride ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes through. And at the beginning of the weekend, it seems like that mulch pit is always groomed, and by the end of the weekend, it's just neck deep in ruts and whoops. And these UTVs going through there are really making it look difficult, because actually it is very difficult. The whoops inside of there, they compare to Supercross style whoops. We'll take just a moment here to run through the quick top 10. Keep you guys abreast of who's doing what. Right now, Kyle Cheney is leading. He's in first place. He has a 13-second lead over Mouse Pratt at the finish line. But here at the mulch pit, it appeared that Mouse is really laying on the gas. John Yoakley is running in third place. William Yoakley, his uncle, is up to fourth place, and that's really good for William Yoakley. He started from the 4th row, I believe. Had 2 DNFs earlier this season, a 6th place last weekend, and now he's up in the 4th place position. Stephen Matko running in the 5th place. Larry Hendershot, after giving him some props, he fell back down to the 6th place position. That's based on adjusted time. Bill Patterson's in 7th place. Tim Farr is in 8th. John Barnes, 9th. John Kletz.
Now wait a minute.
10th place.
Did you just say that Larry Hendershot was running in 6th overall?
6th overall. In the lap previous, he was in 3rd place.
Well,
actually, when he just checked in, he was in 3rd place.
Wasn't he one
physical.
of the cars that was over on his side over on the start line, if memory serves me correct? I'm pretty sure that he was one of those cars that went over in like the 2nd turn off the 1st row, if I'm not mistaken. So, wow, pretty interesting that he was able to muster up that much speed and get right back into it. But we've seen that happen earlier today with Adam McGill during the ATV race as well. So pretty interesting to see that folks are able to make up some time out there. We just saw the 995 car going through the mulch pit there. That is Ashland City, Tennessee's John Barnes. He's 9th in overall right now and in the XC1 Pro class as we watching this section of the racetrack and everything unfold here. Looking at these names and the way that we expect to see these races finish, the way the points have stacked up so far this season after 3 rounds of racing, Kyle Cheney's about where we expected him to be. I mean, he is the national defending champion. He did have that off first round where I think he finished something like 9th place position, but he came back and he won the last 2 straight. We also saw Trevis Pointer, who won first round. He's like 3rd in points now, but he had a really good show that first round, had a really good show the 2nd round as he finished 2nd there, and things were looking good. But last round 2 weeks ago, he had some issues in Masontown, ended up finishing 30th there, so didn't score the points that he was looking to score there. But
he
consistency.
Actually stopped me on the way to the starting line today, and he said, hey, no more interviews, because he was highlighted in Tuesday Toolbox the week before Masontown, and then you and I were giving him some props during the race, and as soon as we mentioned him on air, he took out his front end and ended up having to get towed back into the pits. So he said, no more talking about Travis.
Well, we'll try to be good to Travis and not talk too much about him. But Larry Hendershot so far, 7th place to open up the season, 3rd and 2nd, and just a phenomenal rider and driver, as so to speak. But right now, as we do look at the overall, that was the point standings coming into this race. Mouse Pratt, who is 4th place in points right now, finished 16-5-4 so far this season, is running second. John Yoakley in the number 3 car. He's back in the 3rd place position. He is 9th in points. He's gone 2:27.26, so he's back up to par here today. And Stephen Matko, the 408, rounds out your top 5, that 408 car. Let's see. I don't know.
He's in 6th place. Actually, last weekend he was in 3rd place. We gave him some props on the air, and he also crashed.
Oh,
so
man.
There was a lot of talk down on the starting line.
Yeah, they don't like us down there, I don't
We might have to go to the commercial break just to give these guys a rest.
And let's do that. It's Cheney, Pratt, and Yoakley, 1, 2, and 3. That's John Yoakley in that 3rd place position. And GNCC Live, UTV style, will return right after this.
Getting out in front on the racetrack or on the trail requires every performance edge you can get. AMSOIL Synthetic Dirt Bike Oil is formulated to maximize horsepower. Its synthetic base oils reduce energy loss to friction, meaning your engine works less to deliver more power to the ground, helping you get out front and stay out front. AMSOIL Synthetic Dirt Bike Oil. Out front performance.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
Well, welcome back to the Wise Code John Penton GNCC here on GNCC Live and RacerTV.com. I'm Rodney Tom along with Chuck Master, Megawatt Matt Watson out and about as we are enjoying some shots of the Moto Tees event souvenirs featuring today on ATV's Braden Henthorn. And that right there is some pretty cool stuff. If you want to pick up some Moto Tees merchandise, be sure and check them out on the World Wide Web at mototees.com. And we pick up the action back here on lap number 3, about 27, working on 28 minutes into the racing action. And Chuck Master, watching this race unfold, man, I tell you that we've seen dry conditions earlier today and some of the open field sections and witnessing a little bit of that. The woods are in perfect shape out there. There's no doubt about it. And this mulch pile that is right out in front of us right now and what we're watching right here on the video screen is a pretty amazing part of the racetrack. Though it's not been a game changer, it has certainly been a true tattletale as to who has been doing their work suspension-wise, physical fitness-wise, and in this case, driver-wise and car-wise out here because, man, that thing has gotten toasted out all day long. It's just gotten more and more whooped out and more and whooped out. Now we're watching what at the beginning of the pro race earlier today was maybe a 8-inch whoop going through there. It compiled and built throughout the course of that race to a couple of feet, and they're probably pushing close to 3 feet now deep in some of those spots of those whoops through there.
They're really looking about hip deep there through those whoops, and that's what we were saying earlier, that mulch pile is a John Penton regular obstacle, but it gets worse through the weekend. And these cars, I guarantee they're knocking some teeth out of the drivers there.
Yeah. I remember the first year we had that big pile of wood chips there, and people were like, well, what are we going to do? Well, let's just run through it. And it's just kind of been there. It's kind of dwindled away a little bit with obvious deterioration and time and using part of it, but nonetheless, it's there and it's rough. And I'll tell you, somebody else that's rough out there is that guy right there, the number 1 car. He's rough, he's tough, he's Kyle Cheney, and he's on his way to possibly wrapping up a third consecutive win here in this side-by-side or UTV racing in the GNCC racing world. And I tell you, man, that car, solid built, no doubt about it. He's coming gunning, man. I mean, he is locked and loaded. I know that first round was kind of an off mark for him. His first race, 9th place position finish. You know, a lot of folks, I'm sure, were scratching their head after that one, but saying, you know, what happened there, what's going on with that. Waiting, obviously, till the second round to see if he was able for some little bit of redemption. And, you know, amazingly, Chuck, he's not the only driver we've been witnessing do those things. Mouse Pratt makes his way through the motocross portion of our track now. He is, according to timing and scoring, about 14.8 seconds behind Kyle Cheney physically on the racetrack right now, as Cheney is making his way back into some of those wooded sections now.
Well, you know, during the break, we were talking about consistency and how this year hasn't really been a consistent year for anyone. We've got our first and second place in the championship points is Kyle Cheney and Larry Hendershot, but both of them had a bad first race, good second races, and then Travis Pointer started out with a good first 2 races and a terrible third. Everybody in this championship this year has had a terrible race.
And even a former champion and kind of one of the pioneers in this class, William Yoakley, and he's seen all kinds and sorts of trouble throughout this season. I mean, the first 2 rounds, mechanical issues right off the bat where he didn't even get the race. There is Hendershot now making his way across the top of the motocross portion now, overlooking the motocross track up there above the Motorcycle Pro pits. That is your fourth place car now, as John Yoakley has moved into second place on the time adjustments. He had an 11-minute lap time. That was the fastest lap out there. That was actually 10 seconds faster than Cheney. And 12 seconds.
John Yoakley started from the second row, so he's going to be the one that's kind of messing us up all day long, because he's going to be the one where his time adjustment is going to jump up there in the top 3 position. And,
he is
Cheney and Pratt and Hendershot probably don't even know he's there.
Exactly. So, but the thing about it is they're savvy enough to this game to know that they've got to keep that consistent speed up front. They've got to keep consistently going fast, because they're only trying to catch the guy in front of them, but they're also trying to stay ahead of the guy's lap time that started behind him there, like we say, with these time adjustments out there. So it's a relentless game for those drivers. They got to be thinking a lot ahead and behind them at the same time.
Oh, I can't imagine. I mean, the way that this sport has progressed and as competitive as it is, with all the breakdowns of the different rows and the fast drivers, and like we were saying, William Yoakley getting tossed back into the 4th row with his start. Well, we know he can drive, and if he keeps his machine together, he's going to be up there in the time adjustments. And matter of fact, I think he started on row number 4 and is running in the number 5 spot right now. Has worked his way up into the top 5 on top of a 6th place finish in West Virginia a couple weeks ago. So there's a former champion, multi-time champion, getting up there in the mix.
You know, a name that I don't see on here, and I'm not sure if he's not been racing this year or not, but Scott Kiger was a big part of that as well, or am I missing that? I'm looking. Yeah, there he is. He did. He raced 20. Okay, he's having a lot of the same issues, I think, that William Yoakley is. He had 2 20-place finishes and a 7th place. As you look at the points, Kiger is 15th overall in the 808 car. Out here on the racetrack today, I know I've seen him milling around the pits and so forth, but I don't see.
Yeah, he was suited up, and old Harlan Foley was taking his picture and getting some PR stuff with him, but I have not seen his name in the top 20 yet as of today.
Nope, and I'm looking down through right now and trying to find it to see where Kiger might be. Has he made a lap? I don't even see that he's made a lap.
There's one worth talking about also is Travis Pointer. We mentioned him earlier, that he was our early leader, points leader after 2 rounds, but Travis Pointer is right now in the 23rd position with only 1 lap complete. So it looks like misfortune has struck the Wicked Built car for 2 rounds in a row here.
Well, I know David Plobby was another Wicked Built driver out there. I think he was in the
XC2 class.
The XC2 class. Let's go ahead and check in with that XC2 class and see how things are breaking down. We do put a lot of emphasis on our XC1 Pro class, obviously, but our Pro Sport class has Drew Kreselich in the number 1 spot aboard in the number 75 car out of Carmichael's PA. Digger Doug Gus, the number 55. Now, I'm going to ask you, Chuck Leemaster, and you might have an unfair advantage in this question since you used to be a Yamaha representative and kind of followed the sports of ATV racing and so forth. But do you have any idea who Digger Doug Gust is?
Oh, of course, with ATV motocross.
Yes.
Now, I can't tell you how many races and championships he's got. I think that's your area of expertise. But Digger Doug, he was fast.
He was, and he was also one of the oldest ATV motocross racers to not only race, but to win well into his 40s. I think he was 41 or 42 when he won his last race. I know that right now we have Joe Bird is 42 years old, but Joe hasn't won yet since, well, I think he was around 40 the last time he won. But Doug is the oldest rider to ever win an ATV National Motocross Championship, too. He did it in his 40s, so pretty impressive stuff. And Digger Doug's out here racing the side-by-sides. I know I talked to Cindy Hart, a big part of his program, and everything there. Last year they had intended on racing the entire championship, I believe, in 14, but some things came up and weren't able to do so. So here they are in 15. They're back, and we have seen them at a couple of rounds so far this year, and they're running in the XC2 Pro Sport class, so that might be another reason we haven't heard a lot and talked a lot about him yet, but it's certainly nice to see him out here running in the number 2 spot, XC2 Pro Sport. Brian Riggs, the 685 car out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, running in 3rd. The 820 of Greg Vanderhoof out of Russell, Pennsylvania, runs in 4th. In 5th spot, Jonathan Powers, the 429 from Lower Borough, Pennsylvania. 6th place, 421, Sean Bogdan out of Rice's Landing, Pennsylvania. 7th place, the 14, Chris Brockway out of Ashtabula, Ohio. 8th spot, the 21, Michael Swift from Lewisburg, Tennessee. Was on the podium from the 4x4 Pro class earlier today, if memory serves me correct. The 92, Jamie Hill from Johnstown, PA, is 9th. And Mike Penland, the master himself. Mike is the pioneer of UTV racing, or of UTV racing, as well as the one of the first guys to ever do it, and to make a living at it there in the utility ATVs. Basically built what we know today as the 4x4 Pro class, laid the groundwork for so many factory salaries for those guys out there, and to give them an opportunity to do something they may have never been able to do. And Mike Penland is the guy that helped roll out the red carpet. You know, it's just unfortunate. He got to reap some of the benefits from it, but it's just unfortunate that he was just a little ahead of his time, not able to reap the full benefits of all that factory support.
Exactly, but it's still, because of Mike Penland, I would say that he was even a pioneer in this sport, because if it wasn't for aggressive and race-worthy ATVs, 4x4 ATVs, this sport would have never come along either.
You're absolutely right. So, you know, he probably is very instrumental, because that sport led into, obviously, this sport here with the side-by-side racing. So our hats off once again to Mike Penland, who just continues to amaze us all the time. And truly, an icon in our sport. And Michael Swift, the name that we just mentioned, a 4x4 Pro class racer. We've told this story a million times on the ATV side of things, but I remember back in 2005 when we first started taking the Racer TV program in-house, he said, let me wear the helmet cam. I'll show you how to beat Mike Penland. Now, he didn't do it. He didn't do it. But at that time, Michael Swift was camping out by a fire in a tent on an old Recon that he was racing.
Oh, how far he's come.
Yeah. So
now, he's actually out there today as well.
Yes.
But we did not see his name in the XC2 list because he hasn't checked in on a lap. So, unfortunately, Michael Swift, after being on the podium earlier this morning in the ATV, he actually won the overall ATV 4x4 Pro class. He jumped out there this afternoon. He's got a couple of good finishes this year in the XC2 class, but I haven't seen his name yet today. So, unfortunately, Michael Swift and his Polaris machine have run into some bad luck as well. And we say that's racing, that's UTV racing actually, because man, it happens to all of us.
And it's a race of attrition. I mean, not only do you have to be able to finish strong, but you know, you're talking there a few minutes ago. First, you got to finish first. But in order to finish stronger, even being considered, you just at least got to finish in these UTVs and these side by sides. And it's getting better, man. These guys are getting better. The aftermarket companies are getting smart. The track builders are getting smarter about how they lay the course designs out and everything. So it's all coming together to become a very premier sport for sure. XC3 Lights class, we got 4 drivers that have checked in with at least 1 lap. Garrett Harvey, the 393 car out of Plainville, Massachusetts, leading the 111 of Andrew Evans out of Lafayette, Tennessee, only by 6 seconds after 2 laps. That's pretty tight. Don McConaughey, the 39 out of Holly, Michigan, was running in 3rd, about 1 minute 47 seconds back. And then Nick Franz, the 225 car out of Brunswick, Ohio, having some issues, hasn't finished 2nd lap yet, but still has that 1 lap in. Amateur modified Kevin Trantham.
Yes, another ATV pro rider, actually teammate to Michael Swift.
Yeah, and he's leading this class right now. The amateur mods, Chad Moret is second. Chris Wolf running in the number 3 spot. Now, Chris Wolf out of Motesville, West Virginia. No, that's not who I was thinking of. Bob Nather, the 104, is fourth out of Sarver, PA. The 403 of Bill Ross is fifth out of Avella, PA. In sixth place, the 122 Blake McDaniel out of Belpre. That's here in Ohio. Seventh place, the 123 Josh Barnes out of Nashville, Ohio. 713 Sam Collins out of Kingsport, Tennessee. 333 Josh Skidmore from Fairmont, West Virginia. And 10th place, the 110 Joe Clary from Tompkinsville, Kentucky. Amateur Limited, Richard Travellina getting the whole shot in that one and is running in the lead of this one after 3 laps complete for him. He's had a 12-second lead. 12-second lead over Mark Himes out there. Travellina is being co-piloted today by Todd Moscala, who is an afternoon, I think, B rider.
Yeah, he rides the Bet B class in ATVs.
Yeah, so
the Marlboro man.
Marlboro man, love that guy. Heck of a good guy. They're all great. I love everybody out here, man. I love the GNCC racing. Everybody's got a great personality out here. Mike Himes, there's Cheney checking in at the finish line. That's going to be now for, I believe, 4 laps complete for Cheney, still out with the lead. An 11:09 lap time, nearly identical to what we saw him turn a lap ago. But Travellina, Mike Himes, Austin Seelig, the 144 is running third. Brent Kennedy, the 414 car, is fourth. Jonathan Baker is fifth, and it's Aaron Davis, Vicky Fowler, Matt Ferris to round out the 8. And back up front with Kyle Cheney in the 1 car out of Pataskala, Ohio. He's got a top rider in with him today, too, Chris Bithell, who got the whole shot and led a good part of this race until he started experiencing brake issues, is sitting co-pilot in that car out there, and he and Cheney seem to be taken to the front of the pack and making things happen out there. Man, tell him to go get me one of those snow cones, my friends. We got ice cream and snow cones, and one of the most unique concession stands trackside here this weekend with the local FFA community. Actually, it's the Federal Hawking FFA. It's all volunteers. Some of the students are out here helping this weekend. All proceeds go to help out that local FFA community. Reasonably priced. They serve breakfast all day. They got some really good stuff. They got ice cream. They got pizza. They got snow cones. Tell that boy to bring me one of those back. My
yeah, that was my crew chief that stopped in here and gave me some change.
Yeah, you got the change.
My 9-year-old crew chief.
There you go. He's keeping you straight, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
Or the other way. You know, we were watching here on Racer TV just a second ago. We saw Kyle Cheney and Mouse Pratt coming through, and on the motocross track, both of those cars were just driving so smooth, and really impressed with the setup on those vehicles, and particularly with Kyle Cheney. Of course, he's a champion, so he knows what he's doing when it comes to setup. He's got Chris Bithell in with him. Chris said that he crashed today during the ATV race and kind of rung his bell a little bit, so he told Kyle, he said, take it easy over the bumps. And he said, now I know the chances of that happening are 0, but I'll tell you, the way that car is handling right now, it's silky smooth.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They are just,
and that's
they
because
are flying.
they are at speed. You got to be at speed for those things to handle as smoothly as they do. And we just saw Larry Hendershot at speed there a few moments ago. We've told that story a few times, of course, of riding with him. But Hendershot is running in the 6 car. We just saw that Gunk and Liquid Wrench sponsored rider going by there. He's JB Racing Car Factory Can-Am, 45 seconds behind your leader. He's third in the track now, and in class, Mouse Pratt is running in that number 2 spot in the number 7 car. So it's Cheney, Pratt, Hendershot 1, 2, and 3. We're still waiting on John Yoakley to check in for his 4th lap. So we'll give him a few moments. But as of right now, before other riders and teams have checked in and before those time adjustments have been afforded, Steve Matko running in the number 4 spot in the 408 car. Tim Farr, the number 4 car, is 5th. John Barnes, the 995, in the number 6 position. Bill Patterson, the 32, rounds out 7th place. And that's your top 7 cars that have at least 4 laps in. Then we got John Yoakley, William Yoakley, and Justin Luktik.
Well, I've got bad news that John Yoakley and William Yoakley should have checked in by now.
Yeah, that's what I was beginning to wonder and think there.
Looks like the misfortune has struck the Yoakley. I guess they're not a team, but they're related. It's a family from Kentucky. It's a family affair, and it looks like both of those guys are struggling today with something.
And their brother, Sam Yoakley, actually took the single-seat race win earlier today, as a matter of fact, the Polaris Ace. Of course, Matt Watson had a chance to catch up with him after today's race also.
Hey, folks, we're down here with our Polaris Ace race winner, Sam Yoakley. Sam pulling away today, got a good little lead. Only challenged one time for the win today, Sam, so pretty basic race for you.
Oh, yeah, it was great. I only got past that one time, but I got back around him the next lap, and I was happy and just rode on in for the win.
I tell you what, it looked like a great track for the Aces. Is that the case today?
Yeah, it was a great track. It was perfect for these. It was nothing too hard, nothing too easy. It was about perfect.
Right on. And I know you got a lot of sponsors that helped you get this win today. Sam, is there anybody you want to say thank to?
Yeah, I want to thank Big Country Power Sports, Polaris, and Racer Tech, and my family.
Right on. There we have it. Today's Polaris Ace winner, Sam Yoakley. And back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Megawatt. And there you go, man. It's a family affair. You were saying there just a moment ago, and that's exactly what it is. Quick story on that. When the Polaris folks came out with that new unit, obviously William Yoakley being a pioneer in the sport and one of Polaris's top pilots and testing pilots, they called him up and said, hey, we've got the new single seats. The championship series is going to be running in the GNCC. Do you want to drive? Do you have a driver? William's like, well, obviously, he's got a full plate, so for him to drive another car is going to be a little bit difficult. So they kind of threw it out there for Sam Yoakley. It actually took a little prodding and poking to get him to do it. Now, come on, because Sam's kind of a backward guy. You couldn't really tell it there in that interview because you even made note of it. Man, he's put a lot of words together for Sam. And he's really coming out of his shell, and rightfully so, man. I mean, he's getting very confident. He's got a good team starting out. Won the first round. He's got himself a couple of wins or more so far this season. And Sam Yoakley is certainly a future pilot, I think, to be reckoned with in the single-seat side of things, as well as I think in these side-by-sides coming up in the future. We may have found ourselves the new force there on the Yoakley race team.
Well, I'd love to see that ACE program expand and have some more cars enter. I'd love to see that as a stepping stone for the UTV side-by-side.
That's a great
really
idea.
Seems to be like that would be a great fit.
Wow, listen to you coming up with all kinds of new rules and stepping stones. But, it would be a great fit, and it would also allow people to ease into the actual racing endeavor itself, because driving on the trails and racing on the trails are two different things, and I can attest to that, knowing that there's a huge world of difference. So it might actually make the UTV stuff a lot more competitive. If not the first year, about 3 years into it, we'd be seeing what we're seeing it now with the farming of the XC2s and the youth classes and things like that. But in our motorcycle and four-wheelers. But right now we're racing now almost I'll call it about 48 minutes into this race. Kyle Cheney still leading Mouse Pratt. Larry Hendershot back in the number 3 spot after 4 laps complete. Your top 10, Cheney, Pratt, Hendershot, Matco, Farr. Those have not changed since we last checked. John Barnes, 995 car in 6th. Bill Patterson still 7th. Justin Lukdick is still in the 8th spot. Paul Greenwood is 9th. Frank Olander rounds out your top 10. And you're right, the Yoakleys, William and John, neither one have checked in yet. As of right now, they sit 13th and 14th overall, but we know as soon as other drivers and teams check in, they're going to continue to fall and fade back through the pack.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for both of those guys. I hate to see that happen for anybody, and especially I know those guys put a lot of work into their programs, so it's going to be a long drive home for them. But they definitely have a lot of heart. I know they'll be back, and they'll bring their A game when they do come.
Yes, and they'll come back with a vengeance.
With a vengeance, no doubt. What guy I'd like to point out is Stephen Matko running in 4th place.
Yeah.
We gave him some props at the last race in West Virginia. Said, there's this guy, Stephen Matko. He's running around. He's 3rd in points right now. We haven't really talked about him very much, and then he didn't come around again. So on his way to the starting line today, he's like, hey, man, I was running good until you mentioned my name. And
look what you just did it to him again, man.
Just did it to him again, but he's running very good right now. He's in the 4th place position.
No, he's not. He's struggling, man. He's having a terrible time.
There you go.
I think the thing's about ready to blow up. I'm just saying that because we don't want.
Right, we don't want any misfortune.
Yeah. Here, let's do it this way. Break a leg, Steve Matko. That's the entertainment way of saying good luck.
Right,
so, yeah,
right.
So.
Yeah,
But no,
he had a big smile on his face.
that-
All these guys, from Tim Farr, Matko, Trantham, all these guys that I've talked to, they're just having a ball doing this thing. Everybody, you can see the grins through the helmet.
I know, and this whole side-by-side deal I think is great, but I got to lend myself back to the whole single-seat thing. That's where I would want to be, man. The cars are a little bit smaller, and you can get them in a little tighter situations, a little more
You can thread the needle a little bit easier with
exactly, and you still get the same type of stuff going on here. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. You know, watching those, I will tell folks, you know, looking at those, you think, oh man, those are probably a little top heavy, and they'll be hard. I think they're less top heavy and a lot less. See a lot less rollover in those single seaters than what we've seen in the side by side. So
well, we mentioned earlier today in this program, Jessie Strawham, the paralyzed former women's pro racer. She's racing the Aces now, and she said this thing handles as close to a quad as I'll ever get to. I thought that this would be top heavy, and it's not. I can drive it the same way I used to ride a quad.
Wow, that's saying a whole lot, because she used to drive the wheels. She drove the wheels off an ATV. There's no doubt about it. And man, she got the whole shot this morning too. I thought she might pull it off, but right now Cheney, he got his own whole shot out there. He had all kinds of work. Mouse Pratt, Larry Hendershot, Stephen Matko, Tim Farr, your top 5 still going at it right now. Then we still got John Barnes, Bill Patterson, Justin Luke, Sean Bogdan, and Paul Greenwood, top 10.
And it looks like, well, if we jump over to the XC2 class, it looks like Doug Gust is still in second place with Sean Bogdan in first place in the XC2 Pro Sport after 4 laps complete. Sean Bogdan in first. Doug Gust, Digger Doug, number 55 in second. Jonathan Powers in third. Brian Riggs, the number 685 out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, is in fourth place. There's Michael Swift. Apparently I couldn't read earlier on, but the number 21 of Michael Swift out of Lewisburg, Tennessee, is running in fifth place, just ahead of Jamie Helt.
It's okay. My son couldn't read until he went to school either, so
I need to go back to school.
No, I'm there with you. I thought I might have seen it, but I didn't want to correct the preacher there, you know.
Oh well, the preacher needs more correcting than you know.
But Swift is running in the number 5 spot of the class right now. You look at that; looks like there's a pretty good battle going on. He's 4.5 seconds behind Brian Riggs, who's in fourth, and then only another 9 seconds out of the third place position behind John Powers. So that's pretty good.
A little battle going on there.
There is, and right here we got the number 1 car. Man, it seems like every time I look up, 52-minute mark, and there goes the number 1 car, Kyle Cheney.
11 minutes goes by pretty quick. These laps, it's a 5.2-mile track, and these guys are laying down 11-minute lap times. So that's some. I'm not good at math, but that's some pretty high speed, Rodney.
It is. That is. Those guys are really got things dialed in, and that guy's got her dialed in again also. Mouse Pratt
is putting together a really good ride today.
Well, you know, Mouse, we've seen some great things out of Mouse in the past. We've seen him up on the podiums taking, if not taking wins, close to taking wins. And I've been kind of surprised that we haven't seen him up there in the thick of things more this year, as he opened up with a 16th and a 5 and a 4. It seems like some of the old school players that we've been expecting at the early part of the year are having their struggles and finally making their way up. Well, Yoakley was, but
but
yeah.
Mouse Pratt's being consistent today. He is one of those old timers that we were expecting to see up front, and he's been just steadily plugging away. He had a bad first race, but then he came back with a 5th place, a 4th place, and today he's fighting for a 2nd place, depending on time adjustments, whether he can hang on to that or not.
That's right, Sonny. He sure is. Mouse Pratt's an old timer out there. Yeah, I remember back today 3 years ago.
Boy,
you know,
time flies, doesn't it?
It does. And that's what the funny thing is, man, how quickly, you know, it's not necessarily that we forget, but how quickly things transcend into other things. I mean, we transition forward all the time, and we're constantly moving forward. New names are coming up, and, you know, it just kind of like folks get lost in the shuffle there a little bit. You know, you say, well, this new guy and this new guy, oh, that old guy. But, I mean, heck, this thing's only, 6-8 years old or something like that, if it's 5 or 6 years old as far as the championship
is concerned. Well, I think 2008 was our first full year of running it, and we started out, those first couple of years that we did UTV racing was 4 races. It was a 4-race series, and then in about 2010 we went to 6 races.
And Mouse has been around since its inception back then, so I guess we can call him an old timer.
He is an old timer.
Yes, so we got Kyle Cheney, Mouse Pratt, Larry Hendershot about 35 seconds back in the number 3 spot in the number 3 spot. Then the 4 car of Tim Carr, another 46 seconds back in 4th. And waiting on Steve Matko to round out your top 5. GNCC Live continues after this.
live for the outdoors, there's a Polaris to match your passion. Confident, comfortable, capable. That's Ace. With a solo cockpit, automotive controls, independent suspension, all-wheel drive, and up to 45 horses of fuel-injected power. Calling it revolutionary would be an understatement. Polaris, the world leader in off-road innovation.
GNCC Live is brought to you in part by Polaris Ace, a whole new off-road experience. And by AMSOIL, first in synthetics. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. And by Maxxis, find your flow.
And welcome back to the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. 25 years and rolling into our 26th running of racing here at the Russell Family Farm, where our last connection to the Wiseco 100-miler race series still holds true here. Rodney Tomlin along with Chuck LeMaster. Also, we got Megawatt Matt Watson out and about with us. And, you know, just talking a little bit about the prestige of this event with you, Chuck. It's pretty interesting that, you know, though this championship in the UTVs may not be that old, being here is a very great honor, whether you're in a side-by-side, an ATV, or a motorcycle. And I think that these guys on the side-by-sides are feeling it as well.
Well, I know that you were talking to the GNCC Racing Nation earlier that this is our, we started our first race at the John Penton Family Farm back in 1990. And back then, it wasn't even called the John Penton.
It was the Burr Oaks.
The Burr Oaks, and it was part of the Wiseco 100-miler series before GNCC was doing the 12-mile series, multiple laps series.
Yeah, before it grew into what it did. And you know, it's amazing to think that the Penton, the Sunday Creek Raceway where we're at, has went through it all. And, you know, I was amazed when I went through some of the stats and everything. This is the place where Barry Hawk, the famed Barry Hawk, got his first ever of 68 wins on his way to becoming the
very first one.
The very first one came here in 1991, the second time. The first winner was Chuck DeLulo, who was the champion, I believe, the following year of the ATVs in GNCC that year. But wow, just some interesting, cool things going on here in the sport of off-road racing. And right now we got some interesting battles going on out there on the racetrack. I wasn't able to catch those numbers on that machine, Chuck, but man, that looked like one of our heated battles that just came through there.
And that looked like, honestly, the one that was winning that battle was the mulch pile.
Yeah.
It was about to swallow a whole side-by-side.
Yes, it was. And how much, look how much deeper it's gotten for these side-by-sides as they make their way through right here.
Here on camera, we've got a car that's decided to play it safe, go through there kind of slow, try to find a smooth line, but look how slow you have to go just if you want to survive in comfort. We certainly don't see our top runners going through there. We see them instead just kind of plowing through and making the most of it, gritting their teeth and hold on. It's only going to last for a few seconds, but that mulch pile is pretty nasty for a 1,400-pound side-by-side car.
Yes.
As we check in, before the break, we read through the top 5, and we're starting to get a few more guys check in right now. Of course, we've still got Cheney in the lead with Mouse Pratt in second place, Larry Hendershot in third, Tim Farr in fourth, Bill Patterson out of Morgantown, West Virginia is in fifth. John Barnes is checked in now. He's in the sixth place position, and that's out of Ashland City, Tennessee. Justin Lukatic is out of Rogers, Ohio in the seventh place position. Still 5 laps is Frank Olander out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The number 705 is running in 8th place, and those are the only 8 cars that have checked in so far in 5 laps.
Chuck, buddy. Look at 9th place right there.
Unfortunately, the 9th place is the Stephen Matko, who was running in 4th place.
What did Stephen Matko say to you on the way over to the start today, Chuck?
I think he told me not to talk about him.
And what did you do, Chuck?
And we talked about I talked about it.
And what happened to Stephen Matko, Chuck?
You told him to break a leg, man. I sure hope he didn't.
Thanks for turning that around on me. So, not laughing at Steve Matko, but just really unfortunate situation that looks like turning around there for him. And coincidence, call it that or call it the curse of Chuck. I don't know.
I don't know. We've just seen a lot of attrition and some really fast guys today. The Yoakley's going out. Travis Pointer went out earlier, and now
yeah,
Stephen Matt goes out.
or at least he's back. He's trying to get out. The Oakley's out. XC2 Pro Sport class, Sean Bogdan checked in with 5 laps complete. Let's see how that does him for the overall right now. That actually puts Bogdan in 8th place overall.
8th place overall, and he started from the
about the
6th or 7th row, I believe.
Yeah, it would have been a little far back there. I've got all that information here on a piece of paper. Or had
yeah,
it anyway.
but anyway, that we bring that up because that's an accomplishment to start with. That many cars, to have 35 cars in front of you means you don't have any clear air. You have to do a lot of passing in order to get up to speed, to be the speed of a top 10 overall. Even though it's a time adjustment, you're passing about 20 different cars just in order to find clear air so that you can go that speed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not just going out and going fast. You got to think smart to go fast too. On the white flag lap right now, Jonathan Powers checking in 2nd place in the XC2 Pro Sport class. That's after 5 laps. He's running about 58 seconds behind. Now, he's taken over the position of Doug Gus. The thing that we got to remember here, though, time adjustments may come into play here, and
exactly.
It did just that. Jonathan Powers just checked in ahead. Also, Michael Swift just checked in ahead.
From the guy I couldn't even see and thought was out of the race, he's running in 3rd place now. That's great.
So Michael Swift up to the number 3 spot. So it's Bogdan, Powers, Swift. Still waiting on Doug Gus to check in. He does check in, and he bumps Michael Swift back to the number 4 spot on adjusted time. So Gus is third in the XC2 Pro Sport class right now. Michael Swift is 4th in that class. Looking for Brian Riggs to round out the 5th place team. XC3 Lights class, Garrett Harvey out of Massachusetts and Dan McConaughey running about 5 minutes apart between those two. They're running 1 and 2 with 4 laps complete, working on 5. Andrew Evans, the 111 car, was running a close pace behind about 2 minutes or so, but now still hasn't checked in for his 4th lap, working on that one. May see him check in any moment. And Nick Franz rounded out the top 5. And here comes Cheney out onto the moto track for the final time, Chuck LeMaster. And Kyle Cheney is motoring his way through this race course, the moto track, and toward that finish line and towards another page of history where his name sits atop of the leaderboard. It'll make it 3 in a row for the defending national champion in side-by-side racing, and anyone that may have doubted him after that first round of racing there at Georgia at Aonia Pass in round 1 for our side-by-sides has got to be eating crow now here today, as he has showed that he was able to bounce back and rebound to take a win, to take another win, and here today at the Whites Coat John Penton GNCC, make it 3 in a row with only a few more turns to go. Chuck LeMaster, he is on his way to enjoying quite a healthy points lead.
And that's the consistency that he wanted. And boy, what a way to go into the summer break. This is our last UTV round, and congratulations, Kyle Cheney, for your win here at the John Penton. Great way to go into the summer break. He won't be back out in the car until we meet again in St. Clairsville, Ohio, later on this fall.
Wow. It's going to be a while before then. Here comes the 7 car now of Mouse Pratt.
Mouse airing it out over that jump right there. And his car, I'm telling you, his car looks pretty dialed today too, and certainly to run this speed in that position, his car has to be dialed.
Oh, yes.
It looks like he lost touch with Cheney just a little bit at the end there, but congratulations to Mouse Pratt as he's about to take the checkered flag here, and I know he's worked hard all season long for this 2nd place overall.
He has, and it's a well-deserved one, and it's one that's been a long time coming because he hasn't been a big part of the top of the box and podium. Well, he was a little bit last year, but not a whole lot. He'd get into the mix of things. But it's been a couple of years since we really have been super acquainted with him, and he wants us to be even more acquainted with him. And Megawatt Matt Watson's going to make that happen. Here comes Larry Hendershot, 3rd physically on the racetrack right now, and is also 3rd in the race.
Congratulations, Larry. And he's been running consistent this year as well. Of course, he had a kind of a disappointing first race, but he's been on the podium ever since. 3rd, 2nd, now 3rd. That's going to do very, very well as he goes off for the summer break and firms up his championship point standing before we come back to St. Clairsville.
And Tim Farr waiting on him to check in the number 4 spot. He was running about 46 seconds behind your 3rd place as we get a first-hand look at our overall winning team there. The co-pilot, Chris Bithell, standing off to the side there. And
I'm sure he's tired after racing for 2 hours straight and having the lead in the command of the ATV race there for a while, having to put out 110% exertion, and then to just jump into a UTV and say, hey, don't hit any bumps, and have a guy just go after it and say, we're winning.
I got to wonder, did he hit any bumps? I'm sure he did, but like I said, we said this smooths out as you go faster, and it looked like Kyle Cheney was going very, very fast in that Gunk JB Racing back car. Well, right now, while we get some things sorted out and get our podium ready to get set up, and to congratulate some top finishers today in this UTV race, the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. We'll be back with more on GNCC Live.
High RPM aggressive riding takes a toll on your engine. Extreme heat adds to the challenge. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil synthetic base oils resist viscosity loss. The oil provides a protective film against wear to gears, bearings, and pistons. An extreme simulated start test and on-track testing with professional riders reveals AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil delivers bulletproof wear protection. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil. Out front performance.
General RV is going to help you go camping with locations across the nation and thousands of RVs to choose from. General RV is the nation's largest family-owned RV dealer. At General RV, you'll save thousands on everything from trailers that sleep the whole family right up to motorhomes that are amazing and so economical to travel in. General RV is the only dealer who can show you this much and save you this much. With a great deal from General RV, you'll discover how much fun camping can be.
GNCC Live is brought to you in part by Polaris Ace, a whole new off-road experience. And by AMSOIL, first in synthetics. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. And by Maxxis, find your flow.
And welcome back to the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Round 8 of the AMSOIL GNCC Series. Round 4 of the side-by-side racing action here in 2015. And, of course, home to our last link to the Wiseco 100-miler series. This John Penton GNCC going to be, bringing a lot here this year as we celebrate 25 years in the 26th running. If you remember correctly, we have the the John Penton movie that had been released here last summer. Well, we've got a version of it. We're going to be watching it on the big screen here tonight, kind of like a drive-in movie theater style. We'll have some free popcorn, all courtesy of our friends at Wiseco Performance Products, and that's all getting underway tonight. Should be a good time here at the racetrack. Hey, Kyle Cheney, Mouse Pratt, Tim Farr, time adjustments. I was wondering about that.
Oh, boy.
Tim Farr comes in. We look at lap times, an 11:07 lap time, and that tells the tale right there. Hendershot, who had been running in the 11:07, 11:09 range, dropped to an 11:21 lap time on that last lap. The gap of difference, 8 seconds.
Oh, my goodness. He's going to be kicking himself for about 3 months.
Okay, well, I can make him feel a little bit better, 12 seconds. No, that makes him feel even worse. I miscalculated there. It's actually 12 seconds. An hour and 4 minutes, 26 seconds for Tim Farr. An hour, 4 minutes, and 38 seconds for Larry Hendershot. So he'll get 4th. John Barnes will finish up in the number 5 spot. Justin Luknick in 7th. Sean Bogdan in 8th. Paul Greenwood in 9th. And Frank Olander rounds out the top 10. And that is the overall. By the way, Sean Bogdan, the 421 car, the winner of the XC2 Pro Lights class, or whatever they call it here. What do they call it? Pro Sport class. Pro Sport. So that's it as we take a look at that Rocky Mountain ATV's MC leaderboard there, Chuck LeMaster. I know that we're getting things organized and set up down there on the podium right now, but your thoughts on this one as we wrap up, get set to wrap up this race day?
Well, you know, I'm really impressed with Kyle Cheney and the way that he drove today. He was able to lead wire to wire. And as dusty as it was, I know it was just critical. That whole shot that he pulled off the first row there at the very beginning of the day really came into play for him, as he was able to put the dust behind him instead of having to drive through it. And you had a lot of clear air before you caught up to the lap traffic. I'm sure that came into play, but not to discount Mouse Pratt, who had to drive through the dust to keep up with Kyle Cheney. And Mouse put together the best race of his season, one of the best races of his career, actually, with the speeds that we're running these days and the way that the tracks are and the cars. This is one of his best races, and certainly want to give a shout out to Mouse Pratt on his skill level today.
No doubt, and you bring up a pretty significant point there, the speed levels that we have witnessed, and you know, we've seen kind of a changing of the guard from the Kigers and the Yoakleys and the Kreseliches and those guys dominating the podiums and so forth, to now the Cheneys and the Pointers and the Hendershots and those guys. You know, I mean, that's pretty interesting how that all has transpired in its short history here. But yeah, I mean, the speed's coming out. We've seen a lot of support coming out of Can-Am. I know that those guys that on the JV team have got the factory Can-Am support. They've got support from Liquid Wrench and Gunk. So, I mean, they aren't holding any punches back when it comes to this side-by-side racing.
100% effort for sure. And, you know, speaking of the history of the sport, Tim Farr is one that's been with the sport since its inception. I remember in 2008, Tim Farr getting done on the ATV. You know, he was racing the afternoon ATVs just, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
And, he and William Yoakley would race the afternoon, and they'd run over to the starting line, jump into their Polaris Razors, and respectively, and go after it. And here Tim Farr is still doing it and getting on the podium. And matter of fact, this is Tim's second podium so far this year, I believe.
So pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, actually, he snuck one in, I think, there a couple of weeks ago.
He did. He got third at Masontown.
Yep, and it was the same kind of situation. We knew he was back there at a top spot, but we never realized or dreamed that all of a sudden he was going to be able to sneak in.
You're right. That's 2 races in a row.
Look, he's running a number 4. We're going to have to start calling him Sneaky Snake, too?
Well, apparently so.
You know, something interesting, you said that Tim Farr is one of the pioneers and one of the early guys in this sport and would run both ATVs. Well, you know, Tim has been around for a while, as we well know. Tim is also very instrumental in designing of the modern-day Hondas that we are seeing, and the sport ATVs that we're seeing. Those haven't changed since the mid-2000s, and that was a design that he helped come up with for American Honda. But he was a big ATV motocross star. He was a big TT star. He won championships in both motocross and TT. He won what was then called the GNC, which was the Grand National Championship, was the combination of motocross and TT on the ATVs together. He was a Grand National Champion. He's never been a side-by-side champion, but he has been a true pioneer, a winner, and certainly a major force in helping advance even this new style of racing to all new level.
Oh, yeah, I think that once it's in your blood, it must just be there. I mean, this guy obviously has a lot of skill, and he's putting it to use out here with a steering wheel and 4 wheels, and his wife is able to jump in there with him. And I look forward to hearing what they have to offer us on the podium today.
Yeah, well, he didn't run with his wife today. He rode with a former, riding with him today, according to paperwork here, was actually former and defending women's cross-country champion. We're talking about Angel Atwell Knox. That name Knox throws me off, and I always call her Angela Knox. I know she hates me for that, but she was riding shotgun with him here today, and you know, she's got to be pretty pumped up about that. And then see, we're waiting right now for Mouse Pratt, the 7 car, to make his way up on the podium here, and we're going to hand things off back down to Megawatt Matt Watson as he carried us in there. Here comes the
just some technical difficulties here as we sort out the podium and try to make sure that our Racer TV audience is able to hear the podium celebrations as Matt Watson is getting set to interview our top 3 finishers here at the John Penton Wiseco GNCC UTV race, and it looks like as we sort through these technical difficulties, we'll get these guys up there and be able to finish this race up in just a few short moments here.
buddy. Second position, Mouse Pratt. We're going to make our way over here to our winner, Kyle Cheney. Kyle, man, oh man, kind of made it look easy today.
It definitely wasn't easy. We got the whole shot, and I knew that if I got the whole shot, I'd be able to dust these guys out a little bit, and I think that's what happened. And so we started knocking out laps, and my Can-Am was working awesome. The Maxxis tiles were hooking up. The Fox shocks worked awesome. Well, then we got into a bottleneck about the fourth lap, and I was sitting there for about 15 seconds, and Mouse passed me. And I was like, oh, no, it's over now. I'm not going to be able to keep up with him in this dust. I caught up to him and was right on his bumper. That way he couldn't dust me out, and I just made a clean pass on him, and, you know, the rest is history. We're up here. He drove awesome. Congratulations to Tim. You know, this is a really good podium for me, getting me a little ahead on the championship points now. I've got a pretty good, solid lead, so I'm happy about that. I want to thank my mechanic for getting this thing ready, my girlfriend, Turnkey UTV, SSI, 100% goggles, Beard seats, Yoshimura, factory UTV, skid plates, they worked awesome, DP brakes, DWT wheels. Chris Bithell, my co-pilot, best co-pilot in the industry.
Right on. Well, I tell you what, you pretty much made my job easy, took care of most of those sponsors, man. Anything you want to add about the race, man? Anything that sticks out about the race?
Just when Mouse passed me. I got a little antsy then, and I bet I about doubled my pace.
Right on. Well, everybody put your hands together. Make some noise for all these UTV competitors. What a race today. Tim Farr, third place. Mouse Pratt in the second position. Of course, Kyle Cheney with the win today. So we're going to hand him a bottle, let him have the champagne spray, and picture time for all you guys. And thanks, everybody, for sticking out, enjoying this whole day of racing with us. Enjoying this whole day of racing with us from 8 o'clock on from our youth racing all the way here this evening at 6 o'clock to our UTV competitors. An amazing day of GNCC racing here at the John Penton 2015. So for everybody here at Racer TV, I'm going to conclude our podium celebration, and thanks to each and every one of you, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow for our motorcycle program. Have a great night, and be careful.
All right, and thanks a lot, Megawatt. And, of course, with that, yeah, bringing it all to a close. The sun kind of begins to set here on a very historic Saturday evening. 25 years ago this weekend, it all began, and now 26 runnings of ATV racing has taken place here. Tomorrow will be the 26th running of the motorcycle racing, and we are expecting big things out of that. We'll be live tomorrow again around 1 o'clock. Will Ohio be able to keep the law of averages alive on that one? 13 Ohio native riders have won a GNCC here at the John Penton over the course of its 25-year history. So can we make it 14 tomorrow? I guess time's going to tell that, Chuck. And with that, man, that's kind of setting the stage for another great day tomorrow.
You know, it's been a great day here at John Penton, and we're blessed to be here.
Amen.
And certainly we have blue skies, and the evening's not done yet.
Nope.
If you're here at the racetrack, we're going to watch the John Penton movie as soon as it starts to get dark, and looking forward to that. And until next time, we'll see you then.
All righty. On behalf of Chuck, my good buddy Matt, I'm Rodney. Good day, everybody.